It is Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Needley. We are back from a long 3-day weekend. Hope y'all enjoyed your time off. We tried to. I mean, you know, when you have time off, but you have to do extra work to get the time off, it's kind of counterproductive a little bit, and that's kind of where we found ourselves a little bit. But I mean, once we got to Monday, that day off was pretty clutch.
It was clutch. It was a great weekend. Was caught up with a lot of good friends over the weekend. Snuck in some workouts, got some dog walks, going to the park. I mean, it was good. You're right. It was a perfect little refresh. Just a couple of weeks into the high school football season and into the fall season. Nice, perfectly touched and then perfectly placed where you can just veg out for like 20-something hours watching college football over the last 3 days, basically.
Well, depending on who your provider is, you could watch some college football. Yeah. We're going to get into that later on in the show. But some
folks, not too happy.
Didn't get to see as much college football as they may have planned on. Yeah. But big show again. Week 1 of college football under our belts. We're going to revisit some of it later in this hour with David UBBEN of The Athletic, who was out in Boulder on Thursday night. I'm interested to get some insight from him on Colorado, North Dakota State, and Coach Prime, among other things. In the second hour, it is Tuesday, despite the adjusted schedule. It is Tuesday, and so we will be visiting with the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters, who was Mike's side for Derek Mason's debut. That was not without its drama, but ultimately did go the way it was supposed to.
We did pretty solid on our picks this weekend. MTSU, not one of those picks. Didn't do so hot on the 24.5, but hey, a win. I'll take a win, and it was dicey.
It was
around 12:30 Sunday morning when the game kind of finally ended there.
I think that's that was the take of Coach Mason as well. It was dicey, but we'll take it.
Just get out of there.
Absolutely. We will talk a little baseball as well. We'll talk some other college football because, again, there's plenty to talk about. And in our final segment of the day, again, it is Top 5 Tuesday. And if we're not talking sports, we're probably talking food. And so our top 5 category is tailgate foods. See what y'all think. But yeah, that's kind of the show in a nutshell. Now, let's flesh it all out, I guess, starting with this weekend's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
Hey, folks, before we get into today's rundown, I want to remind you that our first rundown of the week is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy, and ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education right here in Murray County. So why don't you give them a call today? That number is 931-388-5831, or you can visit them at zioneagles.org and schedule an appointment today. Once again, that's Zion Christian Academy, prepared for college, equipped for purpose.
High school football from Friday night. I know it's been a while, but we still feel the need to kind of get on the record with these scores. And so Oakland goes out to Texas, where everything is bigger except Anna, apparently, because Oakland with a 52-48 win over Anna of Texas. Ooh, Collierville 12, Beach 10. Wow. A little bit of a barn burner there. Defensive struggle. Blackman with a 42-35 win over Stewart's Creek. Brentwood Academy defeated Brentwood 16-6. Ravenwood with a 48-0 win over Cane Ridge. Cannon County defeated Providence Christian 19-13. It was Richland 54, Cascade 14. Coverage of that at PulaskiCitizen.com. Centennial 42, Summit 7. Harpeth with a 28-0 victory over in-county rival Cheatham County. Clarksville Academy defeated Ezel Harding 30-12. It was Hendersonville 42, Clarksville Northeast 13, Wilson Central 33, Clarksville Northwest 0. Collinwood with a 31-10 win over Franklin Christian. 2 safeties, 1 for each team, as Columbia Central defeated Dixon County 22-2. Webb School out of Bell Buckle with a 56-42 win over Columbia Academy. Coverage of both those at mainstreetmurray.com. Eagleville 63, Community 6, Creekwood 17, Lewis County 6, Davidson Academy 34, Lincoln County 27, East Hickman with a 46-33 win over White House Heritage. East Nashville down Kenwood 50-14. It was Fairview 41, Waverly 12. Father Ryan takes the Bishop's Cup home with a 27-21 win over Pope John Paul II. Franklin Road Academy down Franklin 27-7. Donaldson Christian with a 15-0 win over Friendship Christian. It was Gallatin 42, Station Camp 28. Hardin County edges past Giles County at the Brickyard 17-14. Again, coverage at PulaskiCitizen.com. Glencliff with a 41-6 win over Republic, and Silverdale Academy 40, Goodpasture 21.
A lot of scores to get through, and so strap up, folks. Here we go. The rest of the high school scoreboard from Friday night. Trinity Christian over Grace Christian Franklin 49-7, and it was John Overton defeating Hillsborough 29-13. East Robertson all over Houston County 50-12 was your final score there. Mount Juliet knocking off Hunters Lane 45-14. Joe Burns putting up 38 points, just 20 for Ballard Memorial. That's out of Kentucky. Siegel defeats Laverne 28-22. Lawrence County with a big comeback and defeats Loretto 28-21 was your final there in favor of the Wildcats. 35-14 as Sycamore defeats Lawson. Upperman taking care of business, knocking off Lebanon 41-14 was your final there. White House knocking off Liberty Creek 34-15. It was Innsworth 35, MBA 14, BGA 69, Maplewood 3. McGavick 34, Stratford 14, Masters Academy, that's out of Florida. They put up 42 points and shut out Middle Tennessee Christian. Once again, 42-0 your final there. Kirkwood was a 35-7 winner over Montgomery Central. Mount Juliet Christian 62, Lookout Valley nothing. Main Street Murray's got you covered with more, but I can tell you the score between Mount Pleasant and Spring Hill, 34-20 in favor of Mount Pleasant. Nashville Christian with a 69-0 win versus Innovation Academy. Antioch narrowly defeats Owensville 36-33. Page shuts out Independence 31-0. CPA with a 21-15 win over Pearl Cone. It was Portland 55, Greenbrier 8. Riverdale sailing past Henry County 34-12. Rockvale on top of Smyrna 31-14. Rossview all over Logan County, Kentucky 31-0 your final there. Clarksville with a 10-3 win over Springfield. Gordonsville knocking off Watertown. In that one, 26-19. Summertown 7, Wayne County 0.
2-0.
2-0.
Summertown.
2-0 for the first time since 2020, and they have yet to give up a point this season. So props to the Eagles. 44-0 versus West Creek. Green Hill defeating West Creek there. Westmoreland with a 17-14 win versus Clay County. And wrapping our football scores from the weekend, it was the Tennessee Heat 42, Zion Christian nothing.
Little bump set spike for you. Friday volleyball action. These are tournaments with one exception, looks like. Blackman with a 2-1 win over Fairview. It was also Blackman 2-0 over Dyersburg. Eagleville with a 2-1 win over Rockvale and a 2-0 win over Watertown. Oakland defeated both Shelbyville and Greenbrier, not at the same time, but 2-0 each. Siegel 2, Spring Hill nothing. Siegel 2, Watertown nothing. Siegel 2, Stewart's Creek nothing. I said with one exception, Franklin Road Academy with a 3-1 win over Zion Christian. On Saturday, more tourney play or play-day play. Eagleville 2, Blackman nothing. Goodpasture 2, Blackman nothing. Goodpasture 2, Eagleville nothing. Eagleville down Stewart's Creek 2-0. Oakland with a 2-0 win over Brentwood Academy and a 2-1 win over Stewart's Creek. Eagleville down Oakland 2-0. It was Rockvale 2, Stewart's Creek nothing. Siegel with a 2-0 win over Rockvale. Goodpasture down Siegel 2-0. And finally, Siegel 2, Stewart's Creek nothing.
Moving along into girls soccer action. Go back to Friday as Middle Tennessee Christian defeats Grace Baptist Chattanooga. 2-1 was your score there. Kirkwood on top of Kenwood. 9-0 was your final tally. Gallatin shut out West 1-0. Low scoring affair there. 1-0 your final. Bearden, this is into Saturday now. Bearden with a 5-0 win versus Hendersonville. It was Farragut taking care of Father Ryan 2-1. Girls Preparatory School with a 3-1 win over Liberty Creek. Gallatin won, Maryville won, and it was similar to a football score as Collierville defeats Station Camp 7-0 on Saturday. Into Sunday we go now. Baylor with a 2-0 win versus Hendersonville. Station Camp taking care of Greenville 7-0. Father Ryan 1-0 over Hardin Valley. Lincoln County with a Sunday victory 4-2 versus Liberty Creek. College football scores from the weekend. It was Louisville knocking off Austin Peay 62-0. Vanderbilt in overtime 34 over Virginia Tech 27. Tennessee 69, Chattanooga 3. Vols easily covering that big number. No overtime needed, easily covering that big number we talked about Friday. TSU defeating Mississippi Valley State 41-21 at Nissan Stadium. Big weekend and a big victory for TSU to get things kick-started. Staying up late, it was MTSU knocking off Tennessee Tech 32-25 as the Derek Mason era begins with a win versus an old rival there. Cumberland dispatched Missouri Baptist in NAIA action. 35-28 was your final for college football scoreboard.
Major League Baseball action from the weekend of local interest. On Friday, the Braves down Philadelphia 7-2 to even that series at 1-1. Houston with a 3-2 win over Kansas City. On Saturday, Houston with a 5-2 win over Kansas City. Phillies defeated the Braves 3-0. Sunday finales in both those series, Astros 7, Royals 2, Phillies 3, Braves 2 in 11 innings. On Monday, the Astros go to Cincinnati and drop a 5-3 decision. Sounds action on the road. Friday, they fell at Charlotte 5-3. Saturday, they won. I'm sorry, that game was played on Friday. Apparently, it was rained out on Friday. Saturday's originally scheduled game, the Sounds won 8-7, and then a second cancellation on Sunday. WNBA action from the weekend. On Friday, it was the Dallas Wings with a 94-76 win over the Minnesota Lynx. Dallas kind of dangerous. Indiana 100, Chicago 81. The Aces with an 83-72 win over the Dream, and the Liberty 98, the Storm 85. On Saturday, it was the Connecticut Sun with a 96-85 win over the Washington Mystics. Sunday, Connecticut 93, Seattle 86, Minnesota with a 79-74 win over Chicago. Indiana downs Dallas 100-93 in a game that was there for the Wings. Anyway, the Aces with a 97-79 win over Phoenix, and the Atlanta Dream 80, the Los Angeles Sparks 62. Major League Soccer action. Orlando City 3, Nashville Soccer Club, nothing. I'm not sure NSC is going to win it ever again.
No, you asked me earlier. I told you they will not. It is not looking good for them. Not looking good at all. They sit in last place in the Eastern Conference. Rough stretch. Yep. But on to bigger and brighter things. How about we start with our schedule for tonight? We dip into the volleyball action. As I can tell you that at 5 o'clock tonight, it'll be Santa Fe traveling to Hickman County. 5:45 this evening, a couple of matches as Grace Christian Franklin heads to Middle Tennessee Christian, also at 5:45. BGA is at Providence Christian. 6 p.m. will be Loretto at Collinwood, Coffee County at Columbia, Battle Creek, who's at Community. Spring Hill is at Franklin County. Zion Christian at Franklin Road Christian. Gallatin traveling to Spring Hill tonight. Shelbyville taking on Lawrence County over there in Lawrenceburg. Hampshire is at Lewis County tonight. Summertown at Mount Pleasant, still all at 6 p.m. At 6 p.m. continue to be Riverdale at Oakland, Warren County at Smyrna, Lebanon at Stewart's Creek, Laverne at White County, and a lone match at 6:30. We'll see Siegel traveling to Blackman.
Girls soccer action this evening at 4 o'clock. McGavock plays at Overton at 4:30. Hunter's Lane travels to Cane Ridge. 5 o'clock start for Hillsborough at Antioch. Also at 5, Davidson Academy is at Clarksville Academy. Mount Juliet Christian goes to Ezell Harding. Smyrna takes on Laverne at 5. Franklin Road Academy is at Middle Tennessee Christian at 5. Stratford is at STEM Academy. Goodpasture goes to Donaldson Christian at 6 o'clock. Harpeth is at Dixon County. Glencliff goes to East Robertson. Battleground Academy is at Grace Christian of Franklin. Montgomery Central travels to Hickman County. Kirkwood hosts Fairview. Battle Creek is at Loretto. Clarksville Northeast goes to West Creek. Cheatham County hosting Waverly. Sycamore is at Creekwood. And you can see coverage of this one later tonight at mainstreetmurray.com. Culleoka goes to Zion Christian.
Culleoka looking to get back after Giles County got them in a surprising result last week. 6:30 tonight, Summit going to go to CPA. Nashville Christian at Friendship Christian this evening. Pope John Paul II, who's at Lipscomb Academy. Greenbrier will travel to Macon County. It'll be Kenwood, who's at McGavock. And Blackman is traveling to Rockvale to close out the 6:30 contest. 7 o'clock window tonight, it'll be Mount Juliet at Beach. White House Heritage at Clarksville Northwest. Centennial at Columbia. Stewart's Creek, who's at Cookville. It'll be Harpeth Hall at Dixon County. Spring Hill making the trip down to Pulaski to take on the Lady Bobcats of Giles County. Merrill Hyde at Green Hill. Brentwood Academy at Page. Oakland at Riverdale tonight. Nolansville traveling to Shelbyville, and closing out the ladies soccer scoreboard tonight, it will be Clarksville, who's at White House.
Major League Baseball this evening, 6:20. You can see it on Valley Sports South. It's the Colorado Rockies at Truist Park taking on the Atlanta Braves. 6:35 at First Horizon. Gwinnett is at the Nashville Sounds. We will be at First Horizon Park tomorrow doing a remote there, so be sure and check that out. WNBA action this evening at 6 o'clock. Seattle is at Connecticut. At 7 o'clock, Washington is at Dallas. At 9 o'clock, Atlanta is at Phoenix. And also at 9 o'clock, and you can see it on NBA TV, the Chicago Sky is at the Las Vegas Aces. That should be a good one. A little Angel Reese, a little Angel Wilson. Good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your rundown. Your top story brought to you as always by Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill right here in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options that are available until 6 o'clock, as well as their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And we come to you from the Oval at Darlington, South Carolina, where Chase Briscoe won the final regular season Cup Series event, the Cookout Southern 500 Sunday night, clinching a spot in the 16-driver playoffs, finishing ahead of Kyle Busch, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, and Ross Chastain, closing out your top five in that one. Chris Buescher, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, Corey LaJoie, and Tyler Reddick finished out your top 10. But what that means is your playoff field is set. And in it is Chase Briscoe, who was not before Sunday night. Let's see. Also in it, if I can get my cursor to the right spot, Martin Truex pointed in, Ty Gibbs pointed in, and that is your those are your final playoff qualifiers. Gibbs and Martin Truex, I think they were the only two that did not win their way in. So,
yeah, sneaking in, I should say.
Absolutely.
For those guys.
Yeah. But they were pretty good from a point standpoint, I think. So I think they were in pretty good shape as far as that went without getting a win. But unfortunately, if you are a Chris Buescher fan or a Bubba Wallace fan or a Ross Chastain fan, and as a Trackhouse group, we are, then you're a little disappointed because they all missed out on the playoffs. Trackhouse did get Daniel Suarez in, and I think at the beginning of the year, I would think if there was someone from Trackhouse that was going to get in, I think the money probably would have been on Chastain. But Daniel Suarez, by virtue of his win earlier in the year, gets in. So again, 14 of the 16 playoff qualifiers, Larson, Bell, Reddick, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Austin Cindric, Suarez, Alex Bowman, and Briscoe. Oh, and Harrison Burton. Each won their way into the playoffs. Again, Ty Gibbs and Martin Truex got in on points. So playoff start next week at Atlanta. We will talk to Heather Williams, our NASCAR expert, on Thursday, not tomorrow because she had a scheduling conflict, but we will certainly talk to her about Darlington and Atlanta. So be sure and check in for that one. Let's go ahead and go to a break here, unless you had some thoughts.
No, it's all good. I don't have any thoughts, but I was going to let everybody know that, yeah, Justin White, who's the gas man for Kyle Busch, I mean, he was devastated because, like you said, they were left out. They not only finished runner-up, they just missed getting in on the points. So to not only miss the win, to also be left out is devastated. So, yeah, he shared that, and I was like, man, it puts into perspective just how close they were.
Absolutely. We're going to take our first break of the day from the Lee Company Studios here at West 7th in Columbia. When we return, we're going to talk a little Braves, so stay tuned after the break. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
He shoots, and he scores!
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
September 3rd, 1966, 18-year-old Charlie Vaughn strikes out 6 in 7 innings as the Braves defeat visiting Houston 12-2 for his first and last career victory. Joe Torre and Rico Cardi each had 3 hits in the win for the Braves. Vaughn's only other major league appearance was one relief inning in 1969, in which he gave up 2 earned runs. That was this day in Braves history. And as I sit here reading this item, I feel like I need to do some digging into Charlie Vaughn, because I don't know how you make your major league debut. You go 7 innings, you give up 6 hits. You strike out 6. I think he scattered 8 hits in a 12-2 victory, and you don't get the ball again until 1969 in relief.
Yeah, something.
I mean, I don't know if there was an injury there. And I don't know if maybe he got drafted. I mean, that's fascinating to me.
According to Wikipedia, was the youngest player to play in the MLB in ’66, just ahead of Nolan Ryan, which is crazy to think about. But no, I don't know. It was kind of like a Moonlight Graham situation almost here. Wonder what happened to our guy.
I'd love to know. If anybody knows anything about Charlie Vaughn, who was born in 1948, I guess, let us know. Braves could have used Charlie Vaughn at some point over the weekend. Well, maybe not now. But dropped 3 or 4 in Philadelphia. And the first one on Thursday night was a little irritating. The third one, Saturday night's game, I mean, Zach Wheeler just did Zach Wheeler things. And, sometimes you just got to tip your hat. But the Braves led 2-0 Sunday, so I'm told, because, again, I couldn't see it. But led 2-0. Philly came back, tied it up, goes to extras. Braves can't score in either the 10th or the 11th. And if you can't score that runner from second base now, with the extra inning setup being what it is, you don't deserve to win.
Yeah.
And you've got to score a run.
Yeah. It feels like, what you just said, at least one.
Yeah. The one has to be a given.
Yeah.
Because they're going to. And then you got a gift when Philadelphia didn't score in the bottom of the 10th. So you got to score in the 11th. Didn't. Philadelphia did, ball game. And so now all of a sudden, instead, the Braves could have won 3 out of 4. And that's not, a stretch. They legit could have won 3 out of 4 in that series. Instead, they lose 3 out of 4. They're now 7 games back with, 25 games left to play? And as I've been saying for the last 2 months, I'm not sure that catching Philadelphia was ever realistic, but they certainly could have given themselves a chance with a better showing this weekend, and it wouldn't have been that hard. But now, not only are they 7 back of Philadelphia for the NL East, they are a half game up on the Mets in the race for the final wild card spot. And ladies and gentlemen, the Braves are in real danger of not making the postseason.
Fangraphs right now gives you a 72.5% chance, but the Mets, that number's surging for them. You're right, and puts their chances around 35% because, man, that's a series. It's frustrating, right? Because, like you said, you were right there in the game, especially Sunday's outing.
That's tough, and it's tough to balance between, again, this team has put its opening day lineup on the field once this year, opening day. And they've not done it since, and they're not going to do it. And so and people want to say it's an excuse, and what about? Well, you don't take your best player and your best pitcher out of the mix and expect it to be business as usual. And if you do, you're just not being realistic. But I think that you got to kind of draw a balance. I mean, they're still major league ball players, and they had chances to win ball games this weekend and didn't. But the reality of it is the fact that the Braves are in the postseason mix. When you talk about who they've been without, who they are without, it's a tribute to them. I think the players. I'm not going to address the managerial situation.
Uh-oh. Permission to go off.
No.
Save that for, when we need a ratings bump.
I'm in a pretty decent mood.
Okay.
And I want to try to keep it
Okay.
that way.
Yeah. Copacetic there. I understand.
Yeah. But they do begin a series at home against Colorado, 6:20 tonight.
Should be what the doctor ordered, right?
Should be what the doctor ordered. Kyle Freeland, 4-6 with a 5.51 ERA, going for the Rockies. NL Cy Young front runner. Chris Sale, 15-3 with a 2.58, going for the Braves. If it's close late, Raziel Iglesias was named the National League's reliever of the month for August.
Mm-hmm.
So you like to think that, again, if it's close late and you need somebody to nail it down, they've got somebody that can nail it down. So we will see if the Braves can take advantage of this advantageous, apparently, portion of the schedule, because they follow 3 games against Colorado with 3 games against Toronto, also at home, and then a one-off with Cincinnati next Tuesday. That must be a makeup.
Yeah, got to be. And yeah, you're right. The schedule sounds like it's looking pretty good. And a quick glance for me, looks like the Mets are playing Boston. And the Cubs they're in the discussion, but they're a little further back. But they're getting Pittsburgh, who's in absolute free fall. So we'll see what happens with Chicago. But yeah, the schedule is set up nicely for Atlanta to at least get a little breathing room, because you're right. They lost 2 in a row, 3 out of 4, but the Mets they're on a heater. They've won 5 in a row. They got the best streak in the National League at this moment.
Wow. They have just kind of quietly been going.
It's weird because they left for dead early, and then they had the crazy run after Grimace got involved. And then they kind of took a little bit of a lull again in the last month and a half, but here they come. And when they've been playing well, it's wild to watch, because it seems like they can't lose.
Mm-hmm.
They got 0 and 100. That's the only speeds they're going this year.
Little under the radar move. The Braves traded veteran first baseman Yuli Gurriel to the Royals late last week after we talked about Vinny Pasquantino, the son of Spring Hill baseball coach Dennis Pasquantino, breaking his thumb. Well, the Royals reached out and grabbed Gurriel to help shore that up. And while there was a trade deadline on July 31st, apparently because Gurriel had not been on a 40-man roster at any point this season, he was traded.
Okay, all right.
So there you go.
Kind of an exception to the rule.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So Gurriel now in the majors, and the Braves got a couple of bucks out of it. I don't think they got any players, but Houston in the midst of an odd series right now. They lost 5-3 at Houston yesterday. They are off today.
Yeah.
Why would you want an off day in Cincinnati? I don't know, especially on a Tuesday. And then the series resumes, tomorrow.
Yeah, we discussed that during the rundown a little bit. It's kind of unusual, and I was not able to find a good
explanation,
really. Maybe it's a peace offering to the team, I guess. Hey, we made you guys come out and play on Labor Day. Here's your here's your day off, kind of a floating holiday situation. I don't know. It's very unusual. But yeah, they'll go out Wednesday and Thursday and hopefully get back, because they had some major mojo coming into that game after sweeping the Royals over the weekend. And so kind of an odd situation against the former NL Central rival. And then now, you got the herky-jerkiness of the schedule. And you're right. Not a lot going on in Cincinnati on a Tuesday.
I wonder if Up next, after a rare day off in the middle of the series, Astros right-hander Spencer Adighetti is a scheduled starter against Reds right-hander Nick Martinez. So, I mean, even this wrap-up acknowledges the oddness of this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if there's some kind of holiday on September 3rd in Cincinnati or something or what. That's bizarre.
Yeah, it's unusual. Get in, hopefully get some dubs. Obviously a disappointing start to that series, but we'll see what happens because there's been a lot of chatter about, who knows where they end up. We discussed them as a team kind of like Atlanta has had some crazy injury issues this season, but it was a question of who are these guys? Their starting pitching in the month of August was basically legendary, considering the band of brothers, basically, they kind of trotted out there. So if they can kind of maybe pick themselves up, again, Fangraphs has got them pretty much a lock for the playoffs at this point, 98.2%, 97.2% to win the division. I mean, hey, at this point, I'm kind of like, if I'm a Houston fan, I am a Houston fan, I'm sitting there saying, let's just get in the postseason and see what happens.
They are
not anticipating winning it all, but you never know.
Hey, get to the dance and see what happens. The
100%.
Astros have put some distance between themselves and the Mariners, 6 games up in the AL West now, obviously 10 up on the defending World Series champion Rangers, who have, pretty well thrown in the towel, I think. So we will see how that one goes. A lot of conjecture about the National League Most Valuable Player. Or there was a few weeks ago. I think there's less conjecture now because every time the conversation kicked up, I was struggling to understand how Marcell Ozuna was not in it. Leading the league in batting average, leading the league in RBIs, second in home runs, but Shohei's getting ready to go 50-50.
And that's how the argument ended right there. He has been on fire.
He is getting ready to go 50-50, obviously something no one else has ever done. And he won't do it again because, as someone pointed out over the weekend, and it was an interesting thought, and I hadn't really thought about it, the fact that he's not pitching this year makes him able to run more.
He's just locked in, and able to swipe bags, able to be more aggressive. I mean,
he's not going to steal. He might not steal 25 next year if he pitches.
Yeah,
but he's getting ready to go 50-50, and he's going to be the National League MVP, and that's what everybody wanted when he signed with the Dodgers anyway. So.
Yeah, he has absolutely delivered for a guy that was, the two-way star. We were kind of robbed of that from a baseball fan standpoint this year, but he has absolutely flat out delivered everything else. You are 100% right.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and take a break here from the Lee Company studios. When we return to Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, we will be joined by the Athletics' David UBBEN. Stay tuned.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see. whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. In our final segment, Wade and I will be giving you our top 5 tailgate foods, because next to sports, food is one of our favorite subjects. So any excuse to talk about it, we take it. Any excuse to talk to David Ubben of The Athletic, we take it. David joining us now from his home following a Thursday night visit to Boulder, Colorado. Did you get to partake in any tailgating, David, in Boulder?
No, I got to tell you, I haven't covered a Thursday night game in a long time, and I was walking into the stadium. I'm walking across campus. Colorado, the parking there is not my favorite parking situation in the world. But there are multiple students, and I heard one student say, "I'm sorry, I got to get to class." It was like 3 p.m. on a Thursday, and I was like, I don't think they should have canceled classes for a game, but I'm a little surprised that they didn't. And I don't miss having to go to class at 3:30 on a Thursday with a football game imminent. So it was nice to have the season back.
That's bad scheduling, though. I mean, I don't feel sorry for that kid.
That's true. I will say the one thing I tried, now Thursdays you can't really help, but for me, I got through my entire college career with 0 8 a.m.s. One of my proudest accomplishments. I need to keep it on my resume. But the Friday, if you have a Friday class afternoon, then you are asking to fail that class. But Thursday, I loaded up my Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I think when you make the schedule, you're not thinking Thursday opener. So, let's give a little grace to the kids. A little grace to the kids.
Maybe he was a freshman. Because I did have 8 o'clocks my freshman year. And, you think, I've been going to school at 7:30, 8 o'clock all through high school. Why can't I do it in college?
Sounds reasonable.
It sounds reasonable, but the practicality of it does not apply. So no, 8 o'clocks. I did them my freshman year. I did not do them again. But those you do kind of load up on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and sometimes if you try to start with that 9:25 or whatever, sometimes your day can run a little late. Maybe I was a little harsh.
There was one year that I accidentally didn't give myself a lunch for a semester. I had a 10:30 to 11:45 and then a 12:15 across campus to a 1. I'd never thought about it. It didn't occur to me. And then the first day of classes, I was like, oh no.
we got a problem here.
This is going to be a long semester. And sure enough, it was. I tried to maybe grab some food, but that's, the art of scheduling college classes. In some ways, you're hamstrung, but it really does set the tone for like 4 months of your life. It's not an insignificant decision.
I almost feel sorry for people that don't have a brain to pick as far as that goes. And then sometimes you're at the mercy of what classes are available when and that kind of thing as well.
You get back into electives you got to have, and there's like 2 classes during the week. You're like, well, I guess that is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. We digress. David, the biggest thing on my mind coming out of week 1 of the college football season was Vanderbilt's 34-27 win over Virginia Tech, the second biggest SEC win.
Probably. I mean, it's the one that I think sort of reshapes a narrative. I mean, Vandy hasn't had a lot of juice. 2022, they beat Kentucky and Florida in consecutive weeks. But those were kind of teams that the wheels were wobbling a little bit on those 2 programs. Virginia Tech, this is a team I was on board with them as a team that could challenge and maybe win the ACC, because I had a lot of questions about well-founded questions now about teams at the top of the ACC. I thought Virginia Tech was going to be a team that could push to compete, and maybe they still will. And maybe Diego Pavia and Tim Beck have been unbelievable additions to the program to the degree that we don't even recognize yet. But this is a team that brought back 20 starters in Virginia Tech from a 6-6 team a year ago. And Vandy, I mean, both sides of the ball. I mean, Diego Pavia was slinging it around, but they were pushing him around, especially early. And I think for them to take a pretty strong punch from Virginia Tech, rally, go win that game, I think that says a lot about the culture that Clark Lee has built, and adding guys into the fold like they did, and still having a team that's mental toughness. That's what mental toughness looks like. And I'm really intrigued. It resets the conversation for Vandy for me as a team that might be pretty dangerous, and how good Diego Pavia is, adding the CUSA Player of the Year and his OC and his head coach as your head coach's right-hand man. Winning football is winning football, just different rosters.
Obviously Pavia and New Mexico State went down to Auburn last year and beat them. Did we know Pavia was this good, or is Pavia this good?
I did. He's been doing this a couple years. I mean, he's a really, really fun player. But when you're, Auburn, it's like, it's Auburn in flux. And, Jerry Kill, such a good coach. We were talking about on the pod today, I went to AFCA last year, and Jerry Kill had retired and was giving one of the keynote speeches. And the way he commanded the room, I mean, I knew it for a long time, but seeing it in action, Jerry Kill is your favorite coach's favorite coach, basically. So having him in the program is such a huge asset. Like, people love that guy, and his teams squeeze every ounce of what they have on their roster. And you saw that with Vandy. So Pavia, yeah, I think so. I mean, I think he was a guy that really fueled a lot of what we saw at New Mexico State last year, and a guy that is hard to contain, hard to deal with, and a guy that we saw make some throws we haven't seen at Vandy since Kyle Shermer. So listen, is he the best player in the SEC? No, but I think he's a guy that gives you some juice. He's a guy that people want to rally around and play for. And when's the last time Vandy had that at quarterback? I mean, it probably is Shermer, right? So he's pretty special, man.
I guess my question was, yeah, sure, he did this at New Mexico State. Mm-hmm. Can it translate?
I think a lot of it is what you got around you. You got some decent pieces around you, and certainly a better supporting cast at Vandy than he would have at New Mexico State. The problem is New Mexico State doesn't have to play an SEC schedule. So, is he going to put up, 300 yards to the air and 80 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns every week? Probably not. But I think he's going to make some plays. I think he's going to make defensive coordinators sort of sit up in their chair a little bit when they're prepping and preparing for Vanderbilt. And again, Vandy hasn't had that guy for a while. And I think just having that, a guy that's a little unpredictable, that is definitely a gamer, that you have to account for his feet and his hands, and is as tough as nails. We've seen that for years at New Mexico State. I mean, I was really intrigued. I don't think I thought that quite this was possible, but I thought definitely he could give them an upgrade at the position. And it's going to be fun to watch, man. Vandy is fun. And It's been a while since we've said that too.
They were running triple option at one point too.
It's
and
beautiful.
the internet is just having a blast. I mean, it felt like a cool thing on Saturday. While you're talking about recalibration and maybe re-examining some situations, what did you personally take away from what you saw Thursday in a wild game that had a lot of explosive plays from the superstars on Colorado, but was almost there for the taking for North Dakota State at times in that contest?
Yeah, I mean, I still don't know what the ceiling is necessarily for this Colorado team, but I'm also not sure what the floor is when you construct a roster the way they did. But I know this. Shador's great. The receivers are pretty special. I mean, they have one of the best receiving rooms in the country. The rest of the roster, I got a lot of questions about. They upgraded their pass rush. You add BJ Green from Arizona State. You add Deion Hayes. You add Sam Okunlola. They should be better at rushing the passer. They did not bother North Dakota State's Cam Miller much on Thursday night. They had a lot of trouble stopping the run, a lot of trouble rushing the passer. I think they're okay in coverage. I think Travis Hunter is an unbelievable talent, an unbelievable receiver, a little overrated as a cover man. His football IQ is so crazy high that he can make, like the picks that he had last year were such highlight plays that you're just not going to see very much. But when I saw he won like Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year in the preseason, I'm like, I don't know about that, guys. He's a pretty special receiver, and he wants to play defense. But as a cover man, I think PFF graded him out at like 140th nationally last year. And we saw what happened, when they played Stanford and Elakeo Menor, really worked him over and over again when they blew that 29-0 lead at halftime. So all that to say, I don't mean to take away from Travis Hunter, who's an unbelievable player, certainly in the case for the Heisman, one of the best players in the country. But that group of receivers is so fun, and they're going to throw it around. We'll see what Pat Shurmur can do. I had moderate expectations for him coming in, but I liked what they did. I thought schematically they did some fun things, but it's going to be the same thing it was last year. Like Shador, I have a lot fewer questions about him. I think he's a really great player, but can you establish a running game? Can you keep Shador upright? Can you stop teams from running on you? Can you cover? We know they're going to be able to throw it around. Shador's going to put his numbers up. But how many wins will that get you if the other stuff is not improved? And you saw some flashes, but North Dakota State's not going to reveal that. Nebraska might reveal some this weekend. I'm going out to Lincoln on Friday to go check that game out. But I think Deion said it best today. Whether we win or we lose, people are watching. People want to watch. I think that's definitely true.
So are you the Colorado / Deion beat writer for the Athletic?
More or less. That's kind of been my role. That's kind of been my role. I think I'm going to say, counting the games that they played, like I went out to Oregon last year. I covered 4 of their first 5 games last year. I mean, trips that I've taken from Tennessee for Colorado purposes is like 8 or 9, 10, maybe 10 since Deion took over. So yeah, I mean, I've been out to Boulder 6 or 7 times since he took over. It's that's sort of a lot of my responsibility because there's so much attention placed on it. And, we wanted to have somebody that's, building institutional knowledge, building contacts, and not having just kind of our whole staff jumping around. So I've kind of been doing a lot of the Deion stuff, and it's been compelling. I think once these games start getting played again, we'll see. We'll get some more sense of kind of what things are going to look like. But if they start winning games, I mean, you're going to see it crescendo. Probably not as much as it did a year ago, but still crescendo. But I think the Deion conversation is so complicated because the team and the roster are irrefutably improved. This program is gone from being irrelevant to one of the 4 or 5 most relevant programs in the country. And the roster's better. They won more games, but you're still talking about a coach that finished dead last in the Pac-12 last year, has yet to beat a bowl team. So, whether you want to be all in on Deion or Deion's biggest hater, there's a lot of fuel for both sides of that argument. And that's why you're seeing so much polarization around that team.
David Ubben of The Athletic joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. David, my one question coming out of Thursday night, North Dakota State scores, can't come up with the 2-point conversion. They're down 31-26 late. Colorado's got the ball. I think they ran like 8 plays. 7 of them were passes. Why are you not pounding the ball and running the clock right there against an FCS opponent if you are what you say you are.
Because they can't. They cannot run the ball. They tried all last year. It did not work. And I think they knew, especially when you have a North Dakota State team that's stacked up waiting for the run, they had to run some of the jet sweep stuff, some of the quick stuff outside. I mean, at the end of the day, your best players are on the outside. Your best players are not on the offensive line. So get those guys in space, try to get them to make a play. They couldn't do that. And then one of those plays after they turned the first down, Shador saw a cover zero look, like Jimmy Horn or it was LeJontay Wester, from the Florida Atlantic transfer, liked him over the top in cover zero, had him open, underthrew it. I mean, Dion just had to kind of tell him, like, hey, be smart. We need those 40 seconds. If he just, kneels that ball or they run up the middle for a loss of 2, then when you're punting it back to North Dakota State, instead of having, I think that 38 seconds, they have 6 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think these are the things that I think, when you feel like you can make plays, you're like, well, how about we just get a first down and end the game now? And it's like, that sounds good until you don't do it. And then it's like, and then you look back and you're like, oh man, I probably should have done that. Yeah, man.
David, what is the bigger concern right now? 0-2 Florida State or 0-1 LSU, who has not won a season opener in the past 3 years, including 2 losses to
Florida State? I think LSU is going to be fine. I think USC was a team that I was pretty high on coming into the season. I think their Vegas over-under was like 7.5 games. I'm like, that Lincoln Riley's going to get an offense out of them, and they've had one of the worst defenses in the country the last 2 years. D'Anton Lynn, I love what he did, flipping UCLA's defense from, I think they were outside of the top 100, and they became a top 10, top 15 unit like overnight. Well, USC has better personnel. They might not have Latu on their group, but they're still going to improve. I think, worst case, they're probably 60th, 70th, and I think they're going to be better than that. And we watched them on Sunday night. The tackling was fantastic. So I think USC is better than people realize. Miller Moss looks really, really good. LSU is going to be fine. I get all the frustration. Brian Kelly didn't acquit himself great in the post-game press conference. Shout out to that Dasani water bottle for holding up despite the table banging. Great job.
Good weekend for water bottles with Florida as well in the mix.
It really was. It really was. The water bottles, listen, they weren't going to take it anymore. Shout out to the water bottles. But, I think it's they're going to be okay. Like LSU, you're still rebooting. I think they're a team that's going to have a huge jump defensively. I'm a big fan of what Blake Baker can do. At Missouri, he got a lot out of his guys. He has much better talent at LSU. They're not going to play USC's offense every week. They're going to be okay. Florida State, I mean, you look around at Florida State, you got DJU, who when you have to get off platform or off schedule, it has not gone well. You went back in the transfer portal to get a bunch of weapons. None of them are particularly good. Your offensive line doesn't seem to pass block very well. Can't clear the way for what I think are pretty good backs in Lawrence Toafili and Roydell Williams. Defensively, you're getting gashed on the run. You can't particularly rush the passer. Your coverage has issues. Like, what does Florida State do? Like, what did they do well? I don't see really anything. That's a team that is not okay. And if you told me in December that Florida State went 5-7, I would not be shocked. That is not a team that's okay. And the worst thing about it is, I was not particularly surprised at all. I thought Georgia Tech is a better team than people realize. I'm not as in on Boston College. I'm like, Florida State's not good enough to beat an ACC team by 17 points, a competent ACC team. And Boston College, we'll see how good they are. They looked pretty spicy. I like Thomas Castellanos, but they're competent. That was my lock of the week on our pod this week, talking about our game picks. But I did not see them getting bullied like that.
Bullied them in. It seemed like Bill O'Brien called a great game for BC. So they really kind of had Florida State scratching their heads all night long. Real quickly, David, I want to ask you too. So we can safely assume it sounds like Florida State out of the playoffs. How much of a lock is it that Notre Dame is already in the playoff after their win versus Texas A&M on the road this weekend?
Well, their schedule kind of gets a little weird because they only had 3 preseason top 25 teams on their record. Notre Dame is one. Notre Dame's probably going to be fringe top 25. We'll see how it breaks for them if they can stay healthy and how it looks in year 1 under Mike Elko. They might be a top 25 win. They'll probably be a top 40 win. USC, I'm like, well, if they lose, they could fall out of the top 25, but they go up to the top 15 today. But now you're looking at Florida State, and you're like, well, that game doesn't look that's no longer a top 25 game. So you need your wins to hold up. But I still think, regardless of what you want to say about Notre Dame's schedule, if they go 10-2, They are not getting left out of the playoff, period. That's insane to suggest. They are getting in the playoff. And Notre Dame, quite frankly, might go 12-0. So, they're prepare yourselves for that. I don't even think this is a team that's like probably one of the 10 best teams in the country. But if you're 12-0, you're going to have that 5 seed if you're Notre Dame. And if you're 10-2, you're getting in, regardless of what people want to say about the schedule. I think they may be humbled if they play an elite team in the playoff. But they're a really good team. And, Marcus Freeman seems like he's gotten out some of the game management stuff that we saw early in his career. And we'll see how this team handles one of the easier schedules that we've seen at Notre Dame in quite some time. And, people can rip on it, but, like, Notre Dame's schedule is pretty tough. Like, this is sort of a fluke with the way their schedule ironed out this week.
Easy schedule, and most sharp writing from David, who pointed out that, in 2 weeks when they take on Purdue, Zach Edey won't be able to play defense for Purdue. So
he's not going to be
I see where you're going with that. I like Notre Dame's chances a little better with Edey not being out there in the different sport there.
I got to tell you, it was funny. I did – we were talking about the Vandy win. I was writing about the ACC, and I said – that Virginia Tech was one of the trendiest playoff picks, but they showed up to their opener in Jinko jeans and an Ed Hardy shirt. But they took it out because our editors did not know what Jinko jeans were, and I felt very bad. I said, listen, we got to put some respect on Jinko. But maybe the funniest fashion trend, a very real fashion trend from our junior high and high school days. Mo, do you know what Jinko jeans are?
I'm afraid I don't.
I had a pair back in the day.
There you go.
I don't know if I'm ashamed to admit or proud to admit at this point.
But see, here's
we've got to reach that precipice.
No, imagine this. Imagine if you went to junior high every day wearing jeans that showed that you were ready to be a 2003 NFL draft pick. The biggest possible pants you could find.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. I mean, I don't know, but I would have asked. I wouldn't have just taken it out of hand. So,
a lot of people would not get it, but I did get a lot of angry messages about Zach Edey for me. People worried that I was confused, that I didn't know which sport he played. But it is what it is.
David Ubben of The Athletic dropping jokes, among other things, headed back out to Colorado, headed to Nebraska, right? That
yes,
game is at
but
Lincoln?
I think this will be the last Colorado game I cover for a while. But if they keep winning, that probably is not going to be true. So we'll see.
It should be interesting.
It will be. I don't know how that one's going to play out. I don't have a great feel for that at all.
Yeah. We appreciate you taking some time with us and look forward to visiting with you again here soon.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, David.
Right, when we head into hour number 2, actually we are into hour number 2 of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We will be joined by the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters. Stay tuned after this break from the Lee Company Studios.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton along with Wade Neely. In our final segment, Wade and I will be bringing you our top 5 tailgate foods. Chip, what's your favorite tailgate food?
Oh, good one.
Guy.
I'm going to go bratwursts.
That's solid. That's solid.
Bratwurst, a hand food and meat in tube form always works well on a good tailgate. But so a bratwurst with some spicy mustard and some relish is all I need.
I think a hand food is kind of key to the situation. So yeah, that's a good pull there. Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, joining us as he does most every Tuesday, except when he doesn't, here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Chip, I'm going to test you here just a second.
Okay.
How many Middle Tennessee State football coaches debut ended in wins since you've been in the broadcast booth?
Since I've been in the broadcast booth,
and Andy Mack.
I would say
that's only 3, I guess, right?
Well, if you go back to Boots, I would say there are 2. That would be Derek Mason and Rick Stockstill.
Okay, so the last 2. That's okay.
That's right.
That's not bad.
Because Andy's, if I'm right, Andy McCollum's first game was at Mississippi State.
Oh.
And if I'm and Coach Donnelly, his first year, they went 1-9 or 1-10 his first year, and the lone victory that first year was against Tennessee Tech in the final game of the year. So I would say there are 2. There's been 7 of the 14 or 15 coaches total have had a win in their opening game ever, going back to the 19 teens. So
tough draw for Andy McCollum in his first season. Chip, you are correct. 40-7 down in Starkville.
And Middle scored on the last play of the game.
40-7 with the TD late, and then they promptly go out to Arizona the next week, lose 34-19. But
and Dennis Northcutt returned a punt for a touchdown in that game.
I'm curious, though. They get their first win back at home the next week. Do you remember the foe?
Oh, my goodness.
Here's a hint. They're an FCS school.
Well, I kind of thought that might be the case.
I was maybe giving us a little more credit than that. I didn't want to.
It was like Savannah State or somebody like that.
The Terriers of Wofford. It was 52-42. It was a real defensive battle, but Coach Mack got his win September 18th back in 99 for his first dub.
And Wofford ran the wishbone at that time.
Oh, man.
So
42 points out of the wishbone.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Andy McCollum, by the way, makes his debut this weekend up on the mountain, right?
I think they've got the Millsaps Majors on the mountain this weekend. I think that's correct. And we'll see if Yay Swanee's right. Hope they are for Coach Mack. And I know there's a group heading up there this weekend from the borough and going to go watch Andy and his ball club. And I think Dwayne Alexander's on his staff this year.
He is.
So,
Yep.
but yeah. So I wish them all the best. It's fun. If you hadn't been to Swanee for a game, it's a lot of fun. It is definitely a throwback, but it is a lot of fun.
Saturday night / Sunday morning eventually was a lot of fun.
Eventually it got that way. It was fun early. Well, it was fun all day long. And then, literally about 10 minutes before kickoff, we get the first delay. Then they are able to bring the team back out on the field. They were out there about 3 minutes, and then the second delay came, and that one lasted a while. But in total, we were 2 hours and 41 minutes late kicking off, and so it was an 8:41 p.m. kickoff that did go into Sunday morning. And as one clever poster posted, that it took 2 months to play that game. Started in August, ended in September. But Middle started the game well, both offensively and defensively. You score on your first 3 possessions, get a pick in there. Kind of let Tech off the hook a little bit late in the first half with the safety, and then allow them to get a field goal as well. So they kind of had momentum in the middle part of the game. Then you just kind of lost your way a little bit offensively, and then Tech found something. I mean, with Jalen Potts at quarterback, they started dinking and dunking and taking advantage of Middle's pressure and throwing into open voids, and got the lead with exactly a minute to play, and Middle had its back against the wall, and credit Nick Vattiato and his crew. He showed a lot of leadership right there and was very calm, according to Omari Kelly and Frank Peasant, who were on our radio show this week. Said that his calmness brought them out, and they knew what they had to do. And and Kelly catches a huge play on a
4th down
5 that put Middle at the 30, and then Peasant scores with 16 seconds to go. And to me, I mentioned on the air that I was at the 30-yard line, a bit surprised at the run play there. But there was a timeout, and if the run play was there, was it to set up a field goal? And Frank saw something and bounced it outside. That I'm not sure of how that portion all of it played out, but it did play out. And Peasant got a great block downfield from the aforementioned Omari Kelly, and he made a really good block for him at about the 5-yard line and allowed him to get the end of the nose of the football over the inside the pylon and over the goal line as he flew over the plane. But all's well that ended well. It wasn't as pretty as you would have wanted it to be, and without mistakes along the way. But as I told Coach Mason on the postgame show, you never apologize for a win, no matter how you get it. And he talked a lot about they experienced a lot of things like playing with the lead, didn't handle it as well as they should have, playing from behind, and did handle that pretty well. But all of that you learn lessons from, and you need to get it right this week, because your margin for error really goes down against a really, really good Ole Miss team on Saturday in the Grove.
Your margin for error goes down significantly. Great article by Sam Doughton on the GoBlueRaiders.com website, and quotes Derek Mason as saying, we didn't get the win we wanted, but we got the win we needed. And that really sounds really insightful as you discuss that 32-25 victory over Tennessee Tech, because again, for everything that they did experience in that win, they might have gotten a lot more out of that. They didn't cover the 24.5, much to Wade and my, our chagrin, but, they
little bonus moxie maybe you pick up.
Absolutely. Right, I mean, they probably got some stuff out of that win that they would not have gotten had they won by 25. So, big win under the circumstances. And so now you go down to Oxford and deal with Lane and a really loaded Ole Miss team.
Yeah, you start a gauntlet of 4 games right now where, again, you mentioned that there was a line on the game this past weekend. You start a gauntlet of 4 straight that you will probably not be the favorite in any of them. You go to Ole Miss, come home for Western Kentucky. That could end up being a pick 'em toss up kind of thing, with Middle being the home team, and Western did not show quite the firepower that they had shown in the past, and they're breaking in a new quarterback there in TJ Finley. But then you've got Duke, who looked very solid in their opener at home over Elon. But, they'll step up in class this week too. And then you'll wind up September on the 28th down in the Bluff City against Memphis. And the Tigers have high expectations. And one of the things I learned this past week is that Coach Mason and Ryan Silverfield are really, really close friends and go back to their days of working together with the Green Bay Packers.
Chip, speaking of Coach Mason, I found this fascinating. Number one, his dance moves already in midseason form, as we saw in the postgame, which was pretty good to see. But, if you're into superstition a little bit, how eerie do you think he was feeling when the weather delay kicks in after he stumbles to Temple in his Vanderbilt debut in a game that had like a 2-hour delay as well? Got to imagine he seems like he's a realist, but it feels like he, probably was ready to get that one done.
Let me stop you just a second, because Sam addressed that in that article on the website at GoBlueRaiders.com, and
a great answer.
Derek got a little pep talk from his wife.
Ms. Leanne, right? Sent the text.
Said, put that out of your mind. But she knew he was thinking about it. Said, this ain't that.
Yeah.
And so.
And got the win. And then, like I said, showed off the moves, too. He was, like I said, those were mid-season form moves after already the first game. 2 months worth of moves, I guess you could say, to your point earlier.
Sure. It had a little bit of electric slide in it, and then and a few more other things in there. I'm not sure what it was, but it was unique. And but you're right. I thought Sam's coverage was really, really good, and he's such a good young writer. And I hope that Middle fans, if you're out there and you want to see more content, Sam's stuff is really good week in and week out. And Derek is really good at giving answers, and I think has been very free and open with his comments at both of his press conferences last week. Well, actually, he's had 3 since last Monday. Last Monday prior to the Tech game, after the game, and then yesterday leading into Ole Miss. He's not been shy about his thoughts, and you have to work on the fixes. And I think as a coach. Coaches are typically realists, and they understand that it's not going to be, 100% great all the time, like fans sometimes expect. And you have to fight through things, and through those you gain things like you guys mentioned. So, but this week, obviously it's a huge challenge. I mean, Ole Miss put up 70 points, over 500 yards passing, 700 yards offense. I think Ole Miss has had 700 yards offense 7 times in its history, and 5 of them have happened since Coach Kiffin has been there. They've got and I go back to hearing what Coach Saban talked about on game day 2 weeks ago in Dublin, when he was asked about, who could challenge in the Southeastern Conference this year. And he brought up Ole Miss, and Ole Miss being a different animal this year in the sense that Coach Saban acknowledged that he goes, Ole Miss has always had the skill players, always has had them. And, but now they have enough offensive and defensive linemen up front to challenge Alabama and Georgia with quality offensive and defensive linemen. So there's one more thing you got to deal with besides them being very good in the skill positions. And, you look over on the defensive side, and the guy that Derek's very familiar with, and J.J. Pegues, who they moved from quarterback or running back at Auburn to a defensive lineman, and that's where that's where he has found a home, and probably where he'll be playing on Sundays. But they're very, very good, and like you kind of end where you start in that that the margin for error this week will be slight.
Assuming, obviously, a win is the ultimate goal, but outside of a win, what do you think this team wants to get better at, or what do you think they'd like to maybe see some progress? Where could they improve in your mind after week one?
I think they want to do a few things. Number one, I think, he wants to see how they react to a fast-paced offense, because Ole Miss will play fast and Western will play fast the next week. So you're going to play two very fast-paced offenses. I think they want to clean up a few penalties. They only had 1 or 2 at the half on Saturday, but ended the game with 8. And he wants to, again, this is a challenge against a good defensive front, is to avoid holding calls. They were really good in the first half last week of converting third downs, but were not great converting third downs in the second half. I think they want to see more consistency across the board. He talked about in particular that they've got to do some things in particular offensively to get Holden Willis the ball in his hands more when, he had such, you look at who are your really good playmakers out there. We saw Miles Branch have a good opening game as a Blue Raider. Omari Kelly had caught 5 passes in his career. He caught 4 Saturday night. So, he's poised to have a breakout year, and there are big things expected there. I think there's an expectation that you want to see the ball in whichever running back happens to be in there at the time, whether it's Frank or whether it's Flip Cradle. Both of those guys, they're going to get the majority of your carries. Get the ball into Holden Willis's hands. Get the ball into Miles Branch's hands. Daniel Gonzalez was not a big factor the other night. They want to see more out of him. And I think defensively, Alex Williams, the big defensive end who was a transfer, started his career at Ohio State. They wanted to get him about 15 plays and trying to get him into more continued better playing shape, because he just kind of right around the 1st of August didn't know whether he was going to get eligible or not, and there he was. So I think adding consistency is where they want to be more. That's where they want to look for improvement, because there was, the offense kind of went that way the other night. You started strong, finished strong, but you had a big lull in the middle, and I think they want to avoid that big lull, because and I think in a game like what you're going to play this week, you have to limit explosive plays, because Ole Miss, you just got to keep everything in front of you, and they do have the ability to go over the top and have big plays, and you just got to limit those where you can, and do your doggone best to win the turnover battle and try to give yourself a free possession somewhere along the way.
Keyword limit big plays. Yeah. That's not too much of a recipe. Yeah. Keyword limit big plays, because it certainly doesn't seem like stopping big plays is really in the equation for any team this year versus that offense.
I think you're right, and and I think back to when and you've got to watch Lane Kiffin. I've gained. I used to think he was just a big blowhard, and but I've gained a lot of respect for him. Kind of getting a little more insight on what he does as an offensive mind and play caller. I remember Wes Counts and I were doing a game at FAU when he was down there, and they came out, and I can't remember if it was like first possession or second possession, but they ran. It was like 6 or 7 straight plays, same personnel group, same formation, and they ran every play to where it was on the FAU hash on their side of the field and playing as fast as they could. But none of the 7 or 8 plays were the same, but it was all the same formation, all the same player groupings, but middle could not make a substitution. And that goes back to scheming and how you're going to call the game. But I remember right then, I said, boy, that's pretty impressive to be able to do that. And so you've got to be able to watch things like that. It's not something that you typically see all the time. Obviously, you want to give them different looks where you can. But I remember how that stood out to me that he did at FAU, and they do a really good job of getting their playmakers in space and being able to get the ball to them in a fairly easy manner. And it was a little bit alarming that Tech was able to do that as much as they did in the second half. So that's something you got to clean up this week.
Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Chip, before we get you out of here, tell me about Floyd Stadium being the backdrop for a commercial filming.
Have you all seen the Will Levis Hellman's mayonnaise commercial?
Have not.
Where, I mean, it was kind of a takeoff, obviously when they talked about when he was drafted, putting mayonnaise in his coffee and all that stuff. Well, he has parlayed that into being a spokesperson, and he's a good looking guy with, and so this commercial, they shot this commercial for him. It's in Floyd Stadium. You might not recognize it unless you're looking for it, but if you see it, and if you go to my Twitter account right now, I just reposted it a few minutes ago, that video, and you can tell that it's in Floyd Stadium, but it has the look of the commercial. I mean, they've got fans on him where I really can't explain it, the mood of it, but the mood of the commercial is like the cover of a romance novel, if that makes any sense. And when you see the commercial, the video for Hellman's mayonnaise, you'll understand what I'm saying. But I was talking to several people who were up in the tower that day working, and said, yeah, they watched Levis out there all day, and the film crew, they had him propped up with fans blowing on him, and his hair was flowing and all this kind of stuff, and him with a big spoonful of mayonnaise and all that. But it was the Floyd Stadium was a co-star in that spot. Yes. Nice.
Chip, as always, we appreciate you. Real quick, soccer with a big win over Bellarmine.
That's right.
Tennis and volleyball with events coming up.
Yep. With football on the road, tennis will host the Wally Tidwell Pro-Am. That's men and women. That's an event that's been going on for years. And if you like college volleyball, Middle will be hosting Friday, Saturday, and Sunday the Blue Raider Bash featuring Lehigh, Austin Peay, SEMO, and Arkansas State, and all of that over at Alumni Gym.
Still plenty of reason to be on campus, even if the Blue Raider football team is headed south to Oxford. So be sure and check that out. Chip, we appreciate it as always. We will catch up with you next
week.
Tuesday.
There you go. All right, boys. Thanks a
All
lot.
right.
Thank you, Chip.
Yep.
When we continue on Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports today, we will dip into the grab bag before we wrap things up with our top 5 tailgate foods. Stay tuned when we return to the Lee Company studios after this.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
Robertson County Chancery Court is hosting an in-person court auction Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Buy up to 9.46 acres of beautiful Robertson County land, selling in 2 tracts. Each tract includes water and approved soil areas. Located at 4637 Boyd Holland Road. Join us Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Sales subject to court approval. For more details, call 615-384-5650 today.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We are Main Street Sports today, coming to you from the Lee Company studios here on West 7th Street in Columbia, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. And in our final segment, we will be talking top tailgate foods. And I'll give you a hint. Chip kind of tipped things off a little bit with hand foods and their level of clutch in this category. So look forward to that in the final segment. Right now, it's the grab bag, and we have kind of alluded to it over the course of the show, but if you are a DirecTV subscriber, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. You don't have the Disney Channel or any of its affiliates, ESPN, ABC, blah, blah, blah. And so the last 48 hours or so have not been very pleasant. And it sounds as if this may go on for a while.
Does not seem good. It feels like with these contract disputes, usually you see it with local television, ABC, NBC, Fox, etc. It feels like, we either get a very quick resolution or they drag on. I'll have to dig this up. There was one that went on for like a couple of years recently. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Surely it wouldn't get to that level, but this feels like we could be onto something here.
DirecTV Chief Financial Officer Ray Carpenter said in a conference call earlier today, this is not a run-of-the-mill dispute, according to CBSNews.com. So, again, Disney's affiliates were all pulled, from DirecTV at about 20 after 6 our time, which I'm glad that I was out to dinner with my family, because I would have been settling in, getting ready for Braves Phillies on ESPN, and all of a sudden it would be gone. And yeah, kind of glad I couldn't see that game anyway, as it turned out. But it was also 10 minutes before LSU and USC on ESPN. So, I'm sorry, on ABC. DirecTV has 11.3 million customers. They are the third largest pay TV provider, and I am amongst them. So, trying to figure out. And so here's the thing. I had been on Hulu. Hulu didn't have Valley Sports, which carries the Braves. So that was unacceptable. So that's how I wound up at DirecTV a couple of years ago. And so now, and again, I don't watch ESPN all that much. I don't watch ABC all that much, but I mean, I want to be able to watch it when I choose to. And I do watch the SEC network, as do a lot of folks around here. So I think that will probably wind up being the biggest hang up. So right now I got to figure out where I can see Valley Sports and where I can see the Disney family.
Yeah, all of those, because you're right, that is a crazy situation, and DirecTV's got to get this figured out, because it was interesting. Some of the folks that were so outspoken, I'm sure there are more, but Greg Sankey dropped the tweet and said, "This is why I have YouTube TV." Kirk Herbstreit didn't go quite that scorched earth, but he tweeted, said, quote, "I knew YouTube TV would pay off. Good call from my boys." This is not a good look for DirecTV, and it's not a good look for ESPN to an extent, but everybody feels like it's definitely going to veer their hatred toward DirecTV in this situation. And this is not good going forward.
I'm not exactly sure who is more culpable in this situation, whether it is DirecTV or whether it is the Disney family. I don't know whose fault this is necessarily, but DirecTV says Disney is taking an anti-consumer approach by demanding that a new deal include bundled services. DirecTV wants to allow customers to be able to pick smaller bundles of networks when subscribing, making it easier to lower their costs.
Okay.
So DirecTV is on our side in this, apparently. And so
the only thing I don't understand about all this is how is this not an issue for all the other networks then?
And
how is this not a Dish Network issue if you want to go direct competitor in terms of the satellite situation? Streaming is a little bit different, but I'm just curious, how is this not an issue for those services?
And that's a heck of a question.
I'm sure there is a rationale, and there's probably way more to it than I'm making it out to be, but that's my thought is, why is this the only provider that this is an issue at the moment? And the fact that it just snuck up on everybody was probably the most heinous perhaps of all.
Chief Content Officer for DirecTV. The Walt Disney Company is once again refusing any accountability to consumers, distribution partners, and now the American judicial system, adding that Disney's demands will make it more difficult for consumers to select the shows and sports they want at a reasonable price. So DirecTV is definitely going on the offensive in this PR war. But
and the other interesting thing about this too, and your mileage may vary depending on your setup, but a lot of folks were complaining last night, ESPN Plus also does not work. So it's not as if you can log on to your app
Right.
and sign up and still get the channel. You still don't get ABC, you still don't get ESPN because those channels are predicated on logging into your network. So subscribing to ESPN Plus, for the $5 or $7 or whatever it is, doesn't do you any good in this sense. So this is kind of a messy situation. And we have Monday Night Football that starts next week. I'm not sure if the Friday night game.
That's what I'm wondering.
I'm not sure if that Eagles Packers Friday night game is going to be on ABC. I can't remember, but I mean the college slate for sure.
Well, I mean UT North Carolina State, I believe, is on there somewhere.
It is. This could get dicey
real quick.
And I know Dish Network just had an issue within the last 2 or 3 years because I have several friends that now have alternative providers because they left Dish Network because of issues.
Right. So
this is interesting. But yeah, Sankey and Herbie both kind of shouting out YouTube TV. So very, very interesting situation over the weekend. Minutes before the LSU game, like you said.
Tennessee, NC State, 6:30 Central Time kickoff on ABC.
Buckle up, Vols fans.
Yeah. I tell you what, sports bars. Well, if they're direct subscribers,
sports bars that Venn diagram, sports bars that have Dish Network and not Direct TV, could potentially stand to make a killing because, that is not good.
It's gonna get messy, and it may not be quick. Scotty Scheffler could just buy one of them and fix it.
Man.
For winning the 2024 Tour Championship this weekend down at East Lake, his 7th win of the year, the most in a PGA season since 2007 when Eldrick Woods did it. You talk about securing the bag. 25M for Scotty for going 30 under, well, finishing at 30 under. Started at 10 under because he came in as the leader in the FedEx Cup standings. Finished at 30 under, 4 strokes ahead of Colin Morikawa, who started 4 under. So he actually, gained 4 strokes?
Yeah, Morikawa was, there's only so much you could say. I mean, the situation is what it is, but he was obviously not happy with the format because he didn't end up on top.
That's tough, but at the same time, you knew what the format was from the hit. So
I think it was a little tongue-in-cheek almost like, I outplayed him this weekend, but I still didn't win. I mean, that's true, but he knew that going in. You mentioned securing the bag. Here's one for you. Stat of the day. Assuming the relationship is traditional, the caddy gets 10%. Ted Scott this season potentially will have collected, assuming 10%, nearly $5.5 million on the literal bag for Scheffler, including half of that coming this weekend, like you just mentioned a moment ago.
Yeah, because he had already won 29 and some change coming into this weekend.
That ain't a bad gig if you can get it.
$54 million for hitting a little white ball. But hitting it better than anybody else.
Absolutely stroking it.
So, I'm not.
And a gold medal to boot, which may not, line the pockets immediately as much, but you're going to be a hero for the rest of your life in the United States, and endorsement potential, which is the crazy part, right? As we talk about and golf and a few other sports over the years, the endorsements is really where the money comes from. So the fact that you're winning so much now on tour is just mind-boggling because that was kind of the afterthought in terms of your earnings sometimes.
You won the Masters, you won Olympic gold, and you won $25 million for 4 days, all in one. That's a solid year, man.
Heck of a year.
It's good to be Scotty Scheffler.
And went to jail and got out and looks like a hero. The man had a child, right? The first child just shortly after the Masters. Quick correction. Wife had a child.
Yeah, there we go. He could, I guess, go back to Louisville and cause some problems if he really wanted to, huh?
Perhaps. I feel like he's probably a touch above that, but man, he is charmed right now. I mean, here's the thing. I don't know that he's really gonna take a slowdown because he has been dominant. He's been so dominant that even if he does slow up down just a little bit, that's still going to be ahead of where everybody else is playing, I think.
Since 1983, 3 golfers have 7 or more PGA Tour wins in a year. Scheffler, Vijay Singh, and Tiger 4 times.
Rarefied.
So it's happened 6 times since 83 by 3 different guys.
He's unreal. And how old do we say he is?
Didn't. Is he not very? Is he 30?
I was going to guess 28 for some reason. He's 28, born in 96. So, I mean, he's getting ready to do this for a while. He could just be kind of really
scratching the surface.
Yep.
Yeah.
The run that he is on is going to be the closest thing, it looks like, to what we saw Prime Tiger in terms of just raw numbers. And he probably still will not get even close to those numbers, but this is the closest we've seen since then.
And I don't know that anybody's going to get any closer.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, this is the best shot we got, it feels like. And it'll be wild to watch and see how close maybe he gets, whether in terms of career victories, most wins in a season, things of that nature. But yeah, this is about as good of a run as we're going to see. I do.
And who's on his bag again?
Ted Scott. If I'm Ted Scott, I might say, you know what, man, I've had fun doing it, and we've made a lot of money this year. I'm going to the house. I'm hanging them up.
I don't know though, man, because there's there's more out there.
Yeah, that is true. Ted Scott's, thinking, man, if I made this much this year.
Right.
And again, that's what we assume the 10%. Scotty feels like he could be he seems like a very generous guy. I mean, who's to say maybe he doesn't bump that up to 15%, and we go from there.
I mean, $25 million for 4 days could go 20% and still not feel it.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, I'm doing a heck of a job spending his money.
Yeah. It's good to be Scotty right now. That is for sure.
It absolutely is. And I guess, all things considered, when you come right down to it, it's good to be Ricky Pearsall as well.
Oh, my.
Saturday in San Francisco, the rookie receiver for the 49ers was shot during an attempted robbery, did not require surgery, remained awake throughout his hospital stay. Obviously will miss several weeks, but 17-year-old suspect was in custody almost immediately. Doesn't appear that Pearsall, the rookie out of Florida, was targeted as an NFL player, but goodness gracious.
Man, and this comes, right on the heels of what we saw with, Brian Robinson last year for the Commanders. I mean, this was a story. There was so much going on with the return of college football that it kind of potentially almost even slipped off your radar somehow. But man, that's
scary.
It's very scary. I mean, shot in the chest.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a guy that, like I said, the 49ers are banking on to produce kind of quickly, I would imagine.
And the fact that he was shot in the chest and did not require surgery, that's pretty miraculous, really.
Scary situation.
Absolutely. Let's take a break. Let's come back for the final segment of Top 5 Tuesday, which will be Top 5 Tuesday right here in the Lee Company studios on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia.
So, you want to be a part of the Busy Bee team, huh? Well, how do you see yourself fitting into the organization? Oh, I get it. You want to be a weather bee.
Robertson County Chancery Court is hosting an in-person court auction Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Buy up to 9.46 acres of beautiful Robertson County land, selling in 2 tracts. Each tract includes water and approved soil areas. Located at 4637 Boyd Holland Road. Join us Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Sale subject to court approval. For more details, call 615-384-5650 today.
He shoots and he scores!
Wade Neely, Maurice Patton, Main Street Sports Today, final segment of Top 5 Tuesday, and it is Top 5 Tuesday, presented by Mid-South 5 Fitness. Kind of ironic, I guess.
Yeah, wasn't necessarily intended to happen that way, but hey, we'll take it. I love that.
Yeah, but 2 great locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia. Whatever shape it is you're in, Thalas Steel will get you in a better one. So after you stack up on these top 5 tailgate foods, go check Thalas out. You can find them at Steel Athletes, STEEL athletes.com. Again, 2 locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia. He'll get you hooked up. Wade, the floor is yours.
Right off the rip, this is one of my go-tos. This is one of the only few that I feel very confident making every time. But give me pigs in a blanket right off the jump. Good little snack. You can load up. You can put like 4 or 5 in your hands. You can put like 4 or 5 in your pockets. And you just walk around and do whatever you want to do for the next 15 minutes. Pigs in a blanket is going to be my go-to. And if you want to get real crazy, I put 2 in 1. We call that the fullback. So there's 2 weenies in 1 croissant there. You got the fullback. If you come to one of my tailgates or one of my house parties, be on the lookout for the fullback. Little mustard dip as well, perhaps.
Little ground and pound there with
Absolutely.
the fullback. I like it. Again, Chip kind of gave it up with the handheld foods. I just really think that's clutch. And so in that vein, I'm going to go with ham and cheese sliders. You cannot go wrong with Hawaiian rolls, a little ham, a little melted cheese, and they're addictive.
Slider, Hawaiian rolls, like you said. I mean, that's basically built for a tailgate.
Absolutely.
That is a fantastic pick.
There's my number 1.
Up next for me, something with a little chip and dip. I go buffalo chicken dip, and that is, not the one that I always think about. But when somebody has it, there's certain dishes that you just see people hovering around, and they don't really move. And that's one of the ones that, people don't really move. They kind of just hang around over there around the buffalo chicken dip. Is this a hot commodity?
No pun intended. I'm going to stay in the handheld realm for just a second. Chicken wings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a given that you almost forget about it. Yeah, chicken wings. I was looking at some lists, kind of trying to come up with some ideas, and some people were speaking specifically to lemon pepper wings. But I mean, I don't really care what the flavor is.
Barbecue is great, but man, you got to be careful. And especially if you're like going to the football game, the last thing you want to do is roll up in there with sauce all over your shirt.
I'm not big on sauces for that very reason.
I will forego. You could tell me that's one of the best wings you've ever put in your mouth, and I'm probably going to forego it just because I don't want the risk.
Yep.
That's how you end up on ESPN, the Disney channels, if you will, and get made fun of because that'd be me. I'd be dripping everywhere. So I don't do the sauces on game day.
I tell you what, though, in this area and in Murfreesboro in particular, smoked chicken wings.
Ooh, yes.
They are not an affiliate. They're not an advertiser, so I'm not going to call them by name. But whenever I have anything involving wings, that's probably where I get mine. So
I'm with you there.
All right.
Up next, it's coming right around the corner. Soup season is pretty much here, but give me the chili. Give me all the chili. We will have many, many pots. Some years we've had folks in my house for Michigan games. We have a cook-off where we invite like people and we say who's the best. So give me a big pot of chili. I could eat it really any time of the year. I'm kind of sick like that, but in the fall, that's when it's really slapping, especially at a tailgate.
I'm going to go one step further on the chili, and I'm going to go specifically white chicken chili.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the one I make the most.
I don't make it, but I certainly eat it when Jody does. Yeah, so that's my number 3, white chicken chili. Number 4,
I kind of need to diversify the list just a little bit here. So how about like a Rice Krispie treat, but kind of in the shape of like a football or, some sort of themed dessert. This one is, kind of just to round out a little bit of the lineup, give me the Rice Krispie treats where you can, again, do some damage. And the right friend or the wrong friend, perhaps, they're just standing around. They ain't moving from the Rice Krispie trees. They're just inhaling those things.
I tend to not waste a lot of time with sweets at tailgates.
I'm with you there.
I'm more of a meats kind of guy, but I will revisit the handhelds one last time. Sausage balls.
Those are, yeah.
I mean, they are great at the holidays, but they are also great at tailgates. And again, those are the type things that folks tend to kind of hover around as well. And you don't want to get physical with anybody, but you got to raise up off the sausage balls.
Hey man, you've been standing here for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
can you move them out my way a little bit?
Yeah. Somebody else wants some of those too.
That one is good. Last for me, I'm looking at this list, and I don't know where this is. I don't know if it's an LSU fan board or not. It says corn dogs and bourbon.
Corn dogs and bourbon?
I don't know. I think that's an LSU reference there. Last one.
Do they have to be combined?
That's what I'm wondering too. I mean, this is on Reddit, so like, who really knows? But yeah, how about that? How about let's go with this? Matt, can we include beverages? Because I'm just visualizing Knoxville. The fog is barely up off the ground yet. It's like 9 a.m. You're still way too early, but you need a little something, a little Bloody Mary on a Saturday morning just to get it going. Don't drink those any other time except either at a golf course or a tailgate. And it just feels like a good little drink to get you going early in the morning. A little hair of the dog, some would say.
There you go. Kind of get the blood flowing a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I've not encountered this at a lot of tailgates, but the first time I did made me wish these people came to every tailgate I was ever at. Crawfish bowls.
Yeah, that'd be. Oof.
Now, I mean, and the thing is, it's kind of a handheld food, but it's not, because you get a bowl or you get a plate or whatever, but and that's kind of dicey for the same reason as your wings with sauce. I mean, because you're peeling and that kind of thing. It gets a little messy, but it's worth it.
It's worth it. And that's one of those, you have to commit because you're going to be there for a while.
Mm-hmm. And you kind of got to post up somewhere.
You find you a good spot, grab you a couple pieces of corn, a couple potatoes, add them into your little pile there. And then one thing, the good part about that too is your sinuses will be cleared the whole rest of the day. You're not
almost to a fault.
Yeah, I mean, you are lit up. That is a great pool right there. And again, it must be the right folks. You don't necessarily want
not just anybody's.
I ain't trying to go to a UCLA crawfish boil. Let's just put it to you that way. No. You give me a Louisiana Lafayette, I'm in there.
Hello.
Yes,
sir.
I love that pool. That's a good round out there.
There we go. Those are our top 5 tailgate foods. They're brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness. Again, 2 great locations, one in Columbia, one in Franklin. Be sure and check out Thalas Steel at Steel Athletes, STEEL athletes.com. Again, whatever shape it is you're in, especially after these tailgate foods, he'll get you in a better one. That's Top 5 Tuesday. That's Main Street Sports Today, here presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We're coming to you from the Lee Company Studios here at West 7th Street in Columbia. Tomorrow, we will return to our respective homes or someplace thereabouts. But we will have...
No, we will be on the road.
That's right. We will be at First Horizon Park tomorrow. So be sure and check us out at 2 o'clock. We will have the VOT, Mike Keith, joining us in the second hour. So as the Titans get ready to go to Chicago to open the season. Again, 2 o'clock tomorrow right here, Main Street Sports Today. We'll see y'all then.